In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we're looking into a picture going around online this month. It claims to show a screenshot of a 2002 episode of The Simpsons that eerily mirrors real-life events. It shows Donald Trump touching a glowing orb with two Middle Eastern-looking men. Well, last month, President Trump did just that with the King of Saudi Arabia and the President of Egypt. So, did The Simpsons really predict the future?
For a sitcom that has earned the distinction of being the longest-running American sitcom, The Simpsons has achieved yet another remarkable reputation over the years.
Welcome to Fox News, your voice for evil. Tonight, we'll be interviewing the top two candidates for Springfield's 24th Congressional District.
It's now famously recognized as the show with an uncanny knack for predicting events that transcend time. From the rise of Donald Trump to the Disney-Fox merger, The Simpsons has showcased an almost supernatural foresight through its storytelling, and it seems never to miss. Now, as we approach 2025, fans are buzzing with excitement and curiosity about what the eccentric residents of Springfield might foresee next. What have they predicted for 2025? Could their predictions shape the larger picture of our future? Join us as we reveal The Simpsons' prediction for 2025 that will blow your mind.
One of the biggest happened to be when they predicted Donald Trump would become president. Well, now fans are drawing similarities from last week's inauguration. Look at this.
An extremely large-scale environmental disaster. One of the most overlooked predictions by The Simpsons has to be the warning of an impending large-scale environmental disaster. This scenario was vividly portrayed in the Simpsons movie, released in 2007. If you recall, in the film, Springfield experiences an ecological catastrophe that prompts the government to quarantine the entire town under a massive glass dome. Does that ring a bell? While the movie doesn't specify a timeline for such an event, its message is clear. Unchecked environmental negligence could lead to drastic consequences. Given the increasing frequency of climate-related disasters, it's hard not to wonder if this fictional scenario might become alarmingly real, potentially as soon next year. For a fact, this year has witnessed a series of devastating environmental disasters worldwide. Starting with the U.S., the climate events have cost the government over $15 billion in damages. From the destructive hailstorms in Texas and Colorado to the severe tornado outbreaks and the record-breaking heat waves that affected Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands.
Welcome back. Many Puerto Ricans are dealing with extreme heat. Now, we're talking about temperatures that feel as hot as 125 degrees.
Each and every one of these events has contributed to the damages accounted for in 2024. But it's not just those disasters that the U.S. has faced. There have also been catastrophic wildfires in California and Oregon that laid waste to thousands of acres of land. The drought conditions in the Southeast and the floods in the Midwest also didn't help matters. It's been one disaster after the other in the United States. As horrid as that might sound, the U.S. isn't the only country facing environmental disasters. Apparently, other regions like Southern Europe and parts of Asia have faced the same predicament, leading to thousands of deaths and way more infrastructure failures than the governments could account for. In truth, it's all a grim picture of our planet's fragile nature, one that The Simpsons seem to have always known way more about. As it stands, scientists warn that without coordinated global action, these frequent disasters are bound to converge into an even larger catastrophe. But the scare right here is that it might already be too late for all of that. With these disasters already compounded this year, we might have to expect worse in the year 2025. The question here is if we can possibly build something almost similar to a dome to protect the world. What do you think? It sure sounds ridiculous, but so did many of the predictions from The Simpsons until they became a reality. Colonization of Mars.
Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, Paul McCartney, Michael Jordan, Michelle Kwan.
They must be starting a new civilization on Mars with our best and brightest.
If we are being honest, this prediction by The Simpsons is one of those predictions that is the most anticipated by many. It involves a scene in season 27, episode 16, where Lisa picks up interest in signing up for the Mars One mission, much to the dismay of her family. Seeing that they couldn't dissuade her, Marge joined Lisa, so they became the only ones left in the program. Eventually, what makes things interesting is when they fast forward 35 years later, showing Marge and Lisa living on Mars. Normally, this sort of dream would seem out of reach, but with Elon Musk at the forefront of space exploration, this very episode from The Simpsons is starting to materialize way faster than we could ever imagine. As a matter of fact, Elon Musk's SpaceX project has always had one focal point in the last decade, and that is the colonization of Mars. This became known to the public when he announced the initiative at the International Astronautical Congress in 2016. For a project that seems rather ambiguous, Elon Musk has proposed to debunk the ambiguity by sending cargo down to the planet. However, the mission has not been completed yet. Still, that doesn't change the fact that the SpaceX company has made quite a lot of progress. Having gotten a proper layout and overview of the planet, they are a step further to accomplishing the cargo missions to Mars in the first quarter of the year. In all honesty, this would be a great achievement for mankind. However, this is only a primary goal for Elon Musk's SpaceX. The main goal is to send humans down to Mars to colonize the planet, and it's likely to happen in 2025. Elon Musk said it himself at the Start Me Up HK festival in Hong Kong. He said that our very sustenance as human beings relies on us going to Mars.
Just successfully landed its most ambitious ever mission to Mars. After a 7-month journey through space, the rover, called Perseverance, survived a perilous high-speed plunge through the Martian atmosphere.
In his words, "Since you back up your hard drive, we should back up life too." It gets even more interesting. Apparently, while the billionaire was talking to the moderator on the forum, he also hinted at how human missions are bound to start in 2025, despite the doubts about the company's technical and financial abilities to colonize the planet. In truth, the mission is in motion already. Elon's recent investments have all been to generate the revenue needed to see to the accomplishment of this mission. So when you finally see humans on Mars, just know that the Simpsons saw it first. Suppression of green energy. Do you know how the world is slowly transitioning toward the complete adoption of solar vehicles and EVs? Well, it seems like not everyone is particularly excited about this development. A vivid depiction of this displeasure can be seen in a recent episode of The Simpsons titled Paths to Glory. In this episode, Lisa Simpson, who happens to be a renowned inventor, builds a solar-powered vehicle that she uses in a roller derby. Although she was barely a fraction mile from winning, a Duff blimp blocks out the sun and reduces her speed to 0 before she crosses the finish line. Of course, the whole thing led to the townspeople laughing at her invention as a failure. Normally, this scene could be easily overlooked. Still, when properly looked at in the grand scheme of things, and The Simpsons' ability to predict future events, we just simply can't turn a blind eye as to how this could relate to a possible event that is likely to unfold in 2025. It turns out that while companies like Tesla continue to build EVs and solar-powered vehicles, big oil companies like ExxonMobil aren't really excited, and it's easy to figure out why. As these vehicles continue to take on the roads, sales of oil would reduce drastically, hence causing the companies to run out of business. Because the companies know the implications involved, they have long been looking for faults in EVs and solar-powered vehicles.
Automakers across the world are racing to produce a future free of fossil fuels, but the electric car of tomorrow is anything but traditional.
This is the future.
Meet the Aptera, a 3-wheeled electric vehicle that can run on the power of the sun.
One that would likely shift the purchase of automobiles in their favor. Just to tell you how desperate they are, there was even a time when a subsidiary of ExxonMobil, Mobil Oil, launched an ad campaign against EVs. The ad read, "Freedom means not being attached to a cable. Disconnecting feels a lot like breaking free." Imagine that. With the global adoption of EVs already surpassing 10 million, ExxonMobil is starting to do more than ad campaigns. As a matter of fact, while they look towards the suppression of these vehicles, they have outlined a couple of goals for the year 2025 to win back the trust of customers. One of them is to look for a means to reduce carbon footprint and invest in lower carbon alternatives. While at it, they still work behind the scenes by lobbying against legislation that promotes EV infrastructure and regulatory policies favoring renewable energy. In various U.S. states, Exxon and other oil-backed groups have even partnered with organizations like the American Petroleum Institute to oppose plans that would expand EV charging stations. This is more like putting their very own Duff blimp out there to make people see how solar vehicles and EVs are a failure. That said, we might be seeing a significant shift in 2025. If that happens, The Simpsons predicted it first: flying cars. Talking about automobiles, there's a chance that we are going to be seeing flying cars in 2025. Yes, you heard that right. We are talking about actual flying cars. A perfect description of what this would be like was seen in the 1992 episode titled Itchy and Scratchy Land. In this episode, Bart and Lisa got to see their future thanks to a machine that Professor Frank invented. However, Bart's own future wasn't really as exciting as Lisa's. Apparently, in Bart's future, he ended up spending all their savings just to get one of these flying cars, as it was seen as a normal ride at the time. Imagine just how furious Marge must have been. Well, we aren't here to question Bart's comedic bad choices. What you should pay attention to is the presence of flying cars in this episode. If we had talked about the possibility of there being flying cars, say maybe a decade ago, many would have laughed over the idea as being ridiculous. Heck, even in this present time of ours, for many, it is something to be skeptical about. However, what if we tell you that we might be seeing cars in the air in 2025? Still don't believe it? Well, the company known as Samson Sky has stepped up to make the unbelievable happen. Samson Sky's revolutionary Switchblade has been on a mission to redefine personal transportation since 2008. Their goal has always been to ensure the convenience of a car by ensuring both the speed and functionality of an aircraft. While tests and experiments have been ongoing behind the scenes for years now, they are finally ready to release their flying sports cars to the public in 2025. Just to tell you how much people are excited for these cars that are about to take the roads, there are already over 1,600 pre-orders worldwide. Still, the number slowly continues to increase. By our estimation and that of The Simpsons, by the time the car would be officially released, they would rapidly become so rampant that you'd casually see them in the skies while taking a work. While the company was giving a hint on what to expect, they said the vehicle is a three-wheeled hybrid machine that is capable of converting from a car to an aircraft in less than 3 minutes. They also pointed out how it could reach speeds of up to 201 kilometers per hour on the road and cruise in the skies at 257 kilometers per hour. As if that's not enough, the car is bound to fit just about any small airstrip and any garage. Pretty cool, right? In a few months, we wouldn't have to worry about the means to bypass urban traffic anymore. Clearly, this is one of the most exciting news stories out there, and we bet you didn't see that one coming. Although, while you might have never imagined the possibility of flying cars, The Simpsons did. Our advice is best to keep about $200,000 aside for the car that's coming to take the skies. You definitely don't want to end up like Bart. That would be a shame. Which of The Simpsons predictions do you see happening in 2025? How soon do you think they are bound to happen? The show depicts him as a washed-up actor who has lost his charm and fame, reduced to doing low-budget movies and struggling to stay relevant. This brief scene was meant to be a joke, but fans have started to wonder if there's more to it over time. Surprisingly, as we enter 2024, the prediction seems to carry a strange weight. George Clooney, known for his roles in blockbuster films and status as a Hollywood icon, has stepped back from the limelight in recent years. While Clooney is still respected and admired, his acting career has taken a quieter turn, with fewer significant roles and more focus on directing, producing, and his philanthropic efforts. This shift in his career mirrors the fictional fall from grace that The Simpsons hinted at. But what makes this prediction intriguing is the strange accuracy with which The Simpsons has previously forecasted other events. Clooney's career isn't that bad, as the show joked. Still, the idea of a beloved star fading from the spotlight feels oddly familiar in the context of the series' strange foresight. Hologram takes over. In 2024, one of The Simpsons' most fascinating predictions is coming to life with the idea of holograms taking over various aspects of our lives. This idea was first mentioned in a 1995 episode, Homer the Great. In this episode, Homer joins a secret society called the Stonecutters.
Ah, here it is! The Stonecutters!
This is it! My ticket in! They have to let me join if I'm a son of a member!
Where he's treated like a VIP and even encounters a futuristic, holographic version of himself. Flash forward to 2024, and holograms are no longer just a quirky part of TV shows. They are becoming an integral part of our daily lives. Companies like Microsoft are developing HoloLens, which is a mixed reality headset.
Mixed reality allows us to find new ways to express creatively and also problem solve creatively.
It blends digital content with the natural world using augmented reality, AR. It features see-through lenses that project holographic images onto the user's accurate worldview. This allows users to interact with both physical and virtual objects simultaneously. Now, you might actually be right if you think they're starting to replace real-life interactions. For example, companies use holograms for virtual product launches and promotional events. In some places, holographic customer service representatives answer questions and solve issues, making businesses more efficient. But what's particularly intriguing is how The Simpsons managed to foresee this trend decades ago. Now, as holograms become more sophisticated and widespread, it feels like the show was ahead of its time, envisioning a future where digital and physical worlds merge more seamlessly. Disney acquires 20th Century Fox. In 2024, one of the most intriguing Simpsons predictions has come true, with Disney acquiring 20th Century Fox.
Disney owns The Simpsons, I kind of remember that The Simpsons predicted this just a couple years ago.
They predict all sorts of things. It's really, really scary. So take a look at this. This was back in 1998. They had a sign that read 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney. That was in 1998.
This prediction first appeared in the show's Bart to the Future episode in 1999. In this episode, Lisa Simpson, now an adult and the President of the United States, mentions that her administration is dealing with the aftermath of Disney's purchase of 20th Century Fox. At the time, Disney's acquisition of Fox seemed like a far-fetched idea, but 2017 it became a reality. Disney announced it bought most of 21st Century Fox's assets for $71.3 billion. This included famous movie studios, TV networks, and a treasure trove of beloved franchises. The deal, which was finalized in March 2019, meant that Disney now owned iconic Fox properties like The Simpsons, Avatar, and X-Men. The prediction in The Simpsons was striking because it showed how the show often mixes humor with surprisingly accurate foresight. Lisa's mention of Disney's acquisition of Fox was more than just a funny gag. It hinted at the possibility of significant media consolidation long before it happened. This merger reshaped the entertainment industry, combining Disney's expansive content with Fox's rich library, leading to a powerhouse in media and entertainment. By predicting this significant media merger, the show once again proved its knack for anticipating future trends and events. Artificial intelligence apocalypse. The Simpsons' prediction about an artificial intelligence apocalypse gained much attention in 2024. In a 1994 episode titled Treehouse of Horror Vive, the show portrayed a frightening scenario where Homer's attempts to create a new AI robot led to chaos. The AI, originally designed to help, quickly turned against humans, reflecting fears about technology getting out of control. This storyline was pure fiction, but it resonated with real-world concerns. Fast forward to 2024, and AI has become a significant topic in tech and media. With advancements in AI, from chatbots to complex algorithms, there's growing debate about the potential dangers. Some worry that as AI becomes more advanced, it could lead to unintended consequences if not carefully managed. The Simpsons episode humorously exaggerated these fears, showing a world where AI becomes a rogue force, controlling and threatening humanity. While AI doesn't threaten our existence, AI running amok captures ongoing discussions about AI ethics, safety, and regulation. This next prediction has got everyone talking. Trump, 2024 presidential bid.
16 years ago, The Simpsons eerily predicted Donald Trump would be president.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump.
The Simpsons nailed yet another prediction with its depiction of Donald Trump's 2024 presidential bid. In 2015, An episode titled The Birds and the Bees featured a shocking plot twist. Lisa Simpson reading a futuristic newspaper headline about Trump running for president again in 2024. This seemed like a far-fetched joke at the time, given that Trump was still in his first term. Fast forward to 2024, and Trump's re-election bid became a reality. The prediction from this episode proved mysteriously accurate. Trump, who had served as the 45th president from 2017 to 2021, announced his campaign for a second term. The timing and accuracy of this prediction have left many viewers astounded. Nobel Prize winner. In a classic display of The Simpsons' strange ability to predict the future, the show's episode Lisa the Skeptic from 1994 featured a fascinating prophecy involving the Nobel Prize. Lisa and her friends make predictions for the Nobel Prize winners in the episode. One of the names mentioned was Bengt Holmstrom, a real-life economist. This prediction was incredibly accurate as Bengt Holmstrom and another economist named Oliver Hart won the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences. Holmstrom's work on contract theory, which deals with how contracts and incentives shape behavior in economics, was recognized for its profound impact on the field. This episode aired over 20 years before Holmstrom's Nobel win, making it an impressive example of the show's foresight. Barbie movie and Trump's arrest.
We have breaking news.
Simpsons predict Trump's arrest. The Simpsons have done it again. It only has been 4 months into 2023, and 2 brand new accurate predictions have been made. The Barbie movie and the arrest of the President of the United States.
The Simpsons have once again hit the mark with 2 remarkable predictions that came true in 2024, the release of the Barbie movie and Donald Trump's arrest. Years before Barbie's big screen debut became a reality in 2023, The Simpsons made an uncanny prediction. In a 2007 episode called The Birds and the Bees, the show featured a scene where the character Martin Prince was seen with a Barbie movie poster. It was a brief and quirky reference, but it predicted the exact film to make waves in the movie industry over a decade later. Then came another jaw-dropping prediction. In a 2015 episode, The Birds and the Bees again, the show included a storyline about Donald Trump facing legal troubles. The episode depicted a fictional news report about Trump being arrested, which seemed like pure satire then. But now, in 2024, Trump faces legal issues leading to his arrest. Both predictions came true in ways that left many viewers astonished. The Barbie movie made its way to theaters and became a cultural phenomenon. Meanwhile, Trump's arrest echoed the fictional scenario from the show, Greece economy downfall. In a fascinating example of The Simpsons, seemingly predicting real-world events, the show featured a storyline about Greece's economic troubles long before they became a major news topic. The episode in question is The Simpsons Guy, a crossover with Family Guy that aired in 2014. In this episode, Homer and his family travel to Greece. The episode humorously depicts the country as financially distressed, with jokes about Greece's economic problems. The episode's portrayal, while exaggerated for comedic effect, was strangely prescient of the real-life economic crisis Greece faced shortly after. It is no news that Greece experienced a severe financial crisis with high debt levels and economic instability. The crisis led to widespread unemployment, austerity measures, and significant financial challenges for the country. The situation attracted global attention as Greece struggled with its debt and the implications for the Eurozone. However, one thing is clear. This episode's accurate prediction of Greece's economic troubles is another example of how the show's creators seem to have a surprising ability to anticipate future events, even in global finance.
3 years on, this off-the-cuff joke has become eerily true. And there it is right there. Europe puts Greece on eBay.
Autocorrect fails. This prediction comes from a 1994 episode titled Lisa the Beauty Queen. In this episode, Lisa Simpson participates in a beauty pageant. She uses a device called the Simpsons Touch, a sort of early version of a touch-screen device. At one point, Lisa tries to send a message. Still, it gets hilariously garbled, transforming her intended words into something completely different. This scene is a funny take on how technology might mess up simple tasks like sending messages. Fast forward to the 20th century, and autocorrect features on smartphones have become a significant part of everyday life. Autocorrect is designed to correct typing errors. However, it often produces comically incorrect or confusing results, much like what Lisa experienced in the episode. People have shared countless funny stories and screenshots of autocorrect fails, where messages turn into bizarre and unintended phrases. While the show didn't predict autocorrect per se, it did anticipate the humorous potential of technology failing us in everyday scenarios. Censoring Michelangelo's David. In a surprising twist, The Simpsons seemed to predict a controversial debate about censoring famous art. The episode in question is The Birds and the Bees, aired in 1992. In this episode, the town of Springfield debates whether to censor Michelangelo's iconic statue of David.
More than 1 million people visit the Statue of David every year. It is the most iconic piece in one of the most visited museums in Florence.
The plot revolves around Mr. Burns, who decides to sponsor a new exhibit at the Springfield Museum. He chooses Michelangelo's David, but the town's more conservative residents demand that the statue be covered up because of its nudity. Fast forward to recent years, and similar controversies have occurred globally. In 2024, there were debates about whether public displays of Michelangelo's David should be censored or altered to fit modern sensibilities. This debate often revolves around decency and cultural values, mirroring the fictional scenario in The Simpsons, Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. In a twist that left many astonished, The Simpsons seemed to predict the famous Siegfried and Roy tiger attack years before it happened. This prediction is one of the show's most scary and intriguing examples of seemingly foreseeing real-life events. In 1993, The Simpsons aired an episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. In this episode, Mr. Burns builds a casino in Springfield and hires a German magician duo, Gunther and Ernst, who closely resemble the real-life illusionists Siegfried and Roy. During their performance, one of the magicians is attacked by a white tiger. What if I told you this scene mirrors a shocking real-life event years later? So during a live performance in Las Vegas, Siegfried and Roy's show took a dramatic turn when Roy Horn was attacked by one of their white tigers. The attack was severe and nearly ended Roy's life, making headlines around the world. The resemblance between the fictional attack in the episode and the real-life incident was uncanny, sparking intrigue among fans and critics alike. U.S. men's curling team winning gold.
Homer Simpson are depicted on the U.S. Olympic curling team, and they take home the gold, just like the U.S. men's curling team did for the first time ever this weekend.
Again, The Simpsons seem to have predicted a significant moment in the world of sports with their 2010 episode Boy Meets Curl. In this episode, Homer and Marge become an unlikely curling team and win a gold medal at the Olympics, with Sweden taking the silver. Then we came to the Winter Olympics, and the real-life U.S. men's curling team achieved a stunning victory that made fans remember this episode. Led by Skip John Schuster, the U.S. team won the gold medal, while Sweden claimed the silver, just as the show had portrayed. The episode depicted Homer and Marge's victory as an unexpected and dramatic upset, much like how surprising the real U.S. team's win was. Before the Olympics, curling wasn't a strong suit for the U.S., and many had low expectations for their performance. The show's storyline about an underdog team winning against the odds captured what really went down in reality. The show has continued to be entertaining yet surprisingly accurate. Mars colonization. In The Simpsons episode Deep Space Homer, Homer Simpson becomes an astronaut and ends up on a space mission. The show, aired in 1994, playfully imagined space travel and hinted at future colonization. Homer's adventures in space seemed like a far-off fantasy back then.
The Simpsons have done it again. For years, people have been drawing similarities between gags in the episodes and things that actually end up happening in real life. One of the biggest happened to be when they predicted Donald Trump would become president. Well, now fans are drawing similarities from last week's inauguration. Look at this.
Every fan of The Simpsons knows just how weirdly accurate the show can be when it comes to predicting future events. From political drama to technological advances, the Springfield family always seems to predict the unexpected. How does this show manage to see things coming before they even make headlines?
In tonight's Fact or Fiction, we are looking into yet another claim about The Simpsons predicting a big news event.
And are there any predictions for January 2025? Stay tuned because The Simpsons have a few surprises in store this year. California fires. We're starting off with the January 2025 California fires that have been a frightening reality for people around the world. Strangely, it seems The Simpsons saw it coming years ago. In Season 18, Episode 12, titled Little Big Girl, Springfield faces a raging forest fire that threatens the entire town. What makes this episode stand out? Bart starts the fire during one of his mischievous pranks. What begins as a harmless joke quickly turns into chaos, with flames spreading uncontrollably. The fire destroys homes, trees, and everything in its path, leaving Springfield's firefighters struggling to contain the disaster. Fans of The Simpsons are convinced this episode predicted the California wildfires because the scenes look eerily similar to real events. But is it really a prediction, or just a wild coincidence? The Simpsons has a knack for turning real-world issues into gripping stories. Whether they predicted it or not, the eerie resemblance keeps fans talking. If you think these fires being predicted is odd, wait till you see what's next on this list. Trump's presidential election win. The Simpsons have also extended their predictions into the political world. Back in 2000, in an episode called Bart to the Future, the show made a bold joke about Donald Trump being president. In the episode, Lisa Simpson, the new president, talks about how her first job is fixing the mess left by Trump, who was president before her.
And it seems The Simpsons just can't wait for next season to deal with Donald Trump. The Simpsons released this video online tonight.
The funny part is that this was years before Trump even ran for office. Now that Donald Trump is getting inaugurated as president in January this new year after winning the 2024 United States presidential election, people wonder if The Simpsons saw it coming. But that's not the only prediction that came from this episode. Keep watching to find out what the other one is. First female president. In The Simpsons, there's a moment that some people believe predicted the first female president of the United States.
Yes, I am proud to be America's first straight female president.
This prediction happened in the same 2000 episode that predicted Trump becoming president. In this episode, Lisa Simpson becomes the first female president of the United States. When Lisa takes office, she faces a country in huge debt, and she has to figure out how to solve the problems left by the previous president. What makes this prediction so interesting is that years later, in 2016, a woman, Hillary Clinton, ran for president. Though she didn't win, many fans think the episode was predicting that a woman could one day take charge of the country. Barbie movie and Trump's arrest. One of The Simpsons' most surprising predictions came in the 2007 episode Lisa vs. Malibu Stacy, where the show casually mentioned the release of a Barbie movie. The Barbie movie was just a joke in the episode, but years later, it actually happened. The Barbie movie became a huge success, just like the show hinted. Fans were amazed at how The Simpsons seemed to know about it before it even existed. But that's not all. The show also predicted something even bigger. In the same episode, a news anchor casually says that the US president was arrested. Fast forward to 2023, and Donald Trump was arrested, just like the show had joked about. It's strange to think that The Simpsons might have seen all this coming, leaving fans questioning how they got it so right. Hologram. It's not a surprise that some people believe The Simpsons predicted holograms before they became a real thing. In a 2003 episode called Treehouse of Horror 13, we see something strange. During a spooky story, Homer interacts with holographic images. These images look like they are floating in the air. At the time, holograms seemed like something out of a science fiction movie, but now, holograms are real. We see them in concerts, where famous singers who have passed away perform again using holograms. Some companies also use holograms for meetings and events. Fans of The Simpsons believe this episode shows how the show looks into the future. Artificial intelligence. The Simpsons has surprised fans with how it seems to predict the future, and artificial intelligence, also known as AI, is no exception. In the 2012 episode titled Them, Robot, Mr. Burns replaces all his employees at the nuclear power plant with robots. At first, These AI robots seem perfect. They are efficient, tireless, and do exactly what they are programmed to do. But soon, things take a dark turn when the robots malfunction and cause chaos. This episode feels like a warning about relying too much on technology. While AI can make life easier, The Simpsons shows how it can also create problems if we're not careful. Fans wonder if this episode predicted the rise of AI, especially with how robots are becoming more common in real life. But these robots aren't the only futuristic predictions made by The Simpsons. Let's find out what other incredible futuristic predictions the show has revealed. Flying cars. Many people believe The Simpsons predicted flying cars, and it's easy to see why. In Season 16, Episode 15 titled Future Drama, the show gives a peek into the future. In this future, Homer and Bart ride in a floating car that zips through the air. It's exciting, fun, and looks exactly like what people imagine when they dream about flying cars. The idea of flying cars has been around for decades, and many think The Simpsons was ahead of its time by showing them on TV. Some fans believe the show wasn't just being creative, it was predicting what could become real. Today, tech companies are working hard to make flying cars a reality, so maybe The Simpsons wasn't far off. Disney buying Fox. In 1998, The Simpsons aired an episode that has now become one of its most famous predictions. In the episode When You Dish Upon a Star, Homer meets a Hollywood big shot and sees how the powerful movie industry works. At one point, a sign appears showing 20th Century Fox being bought by Disney. The show was just making fun of Hollywood at the time, but fans now see it as a prediction. In 2017, Disney announced it was buying 21st, which owns 20th Century Fox.
680's Richard Southern joins us now. And Richard, it's a massive deal that reshapes the entertainment biz. So Disney is buying a big chunk of Fox.
The timing made people feel like The Simpsons knew this would happen, even though it aired almost 20 years earlier. The idea of a huge company like Disney buying another giant was seen as something that could happen in the future, but no one thought it would happen so soon. Virtual reality. Next on this list is virtual reality. In an episode titled Friends and Family, we see Mr. Burns using a futuristic headset. This headset lets him enter a world that feels real, even though it's all just technology. The episode came out in 2016, and while VR headsets were becoming popular then, they weren't completely mainstream. Fans believe this was a clear sign that The Simpsons saw virtual reality coming. Homer's goofy actions in the virtual world make the episode funny, but it also shows how this tech could one day change how we live, play, and work. Today, virtual reality is everywhere, from games and education to even healthcare. Did The Simpsons predict it? Or was it just a lucky guess? Either way, this episode keeps proving that this animated show might just be ahead of its time. The end of the world. In the episode Thank God It's Doomsday, Homer Simpson learns about the possibility of the world ending, and the idea gets people talking. In the episode, a natural disaster threatens to destroy Springfield, and people start to panic. They think the world might really end, but Homer tries to stay calm, even though everything seems to fall apart around him. The interesting part is that The Simpsons predicted similar events in other episodes, where natural disasters, wars, and other dangers seem to signal the end of the world. Let's get into what these natural disasters are. Large-scale natural disasters. Over the years, many fans have noticed that The Simpsons has shown disasters like earthquakes, tsunamis, and floods before they even happened. One of the most famous predictions was an earthquake. In an episode called The City of New York vs. Homer Simpson, the show showed Homer at the World Trade Center years before the 9/11 attacks. This shocked many people because it felt too real. Another prediction was about a huge tsunami. In the episode Bart to the Future, there was a scene that seemed to show a huge wave coming to destroy everything, just like a tsunami. This made people wonder if the show knew something before it happened. Many believe that the writers just used their imagination, but it's still fun to think about how The Simpsons might be predicting big disasters we can't see coming. Economic crisis. In a 2000 episode called Bart to the Future, the show imagines a future where the economy collapses. The show even suggests that this happens under President Trump. The idea of a crash seemed like a funny, far-off joke back then, but years later, the United States actually elected Donald Trump as president, and the economy faced some big struggles. In the episode, the economy falls apart, and people suffer. Fast forward to today, and some people feel that The Simpsons might have been onto something. With rising debt and tensions between countries, it seems like the world could be heading in that direction. Whether the show truly predicted the future or just got lucky, its ability to reflect real-world problems has made fans keep their eyes open for more possible predictions. U.S. men's curling team winning gold. In 2010, The Simpsons aired an episode called Boy Meets Curl, and in this episode, Homer and Marge become an unexpected curling team. They end up surprising everyone by winning a gold medal at the Winter Olympics, beating Sweden. It was a funny and unlikely story, as curling was not something the U.S. was known for. Homer and Marge's victory was a shocking twist, just like how many people didn't expect the U.S. to do well in curling. Fast forward to the 2018 Winter Olympics, and something unbelievable happened. The U.S. men's curling team, led by John Schuster, won the gold medal, just like The Simpsons predicted. They defeated Sweden, just like in the show. It was a huge surprise and reminded fans of the episode, Suppression of Green Energy. In the episode The Last Temptation of Homer, which aired in 1993, there is a scene where a character named Hans Moleman tries to sell solar-powered energy at a convention, but before he can get any attention, a big company that sells fossil fuels comes in and shuts him down. The whole scene is funny, but it also makes a serious point. Over the years, many fans noticed that The Simpsons was predicting something big. In real life, people have been talking a lot about renewable energy, like solar power, to fight climate change. The episode shows how powerful companies could stop green energy from growing because they want to keep using oil and gas. This prediction is even more interesting today because we see green energy being pushed aside by big business and government slowdowns. If you think this prediction is surprising, wait till you see what's at the top of this list. Colonization of Mars. In a 1994 episode called Deep Space Homer, Homer Simpson becomes an astronaut and goes on a space mission. Back then, it seemed like just a funny story, but now, things are different. Scientists, including NASA and SpaceX, are working hard to make the dream of living on Mars a reality. In the episode, Homer ends up on a spaceship, and the idea of living in space doesn't feel so impossible anymore. In real life, space agencies are planning missions to Mars. NASA hopes to send humans to Mars by the 2030s, and SpaceX, led by Elon Musk, is pushing for a mission even sooner. The Simpsons made this idea look possible years before it became a real goal, and now people are starting to wonder if the show was right all along. Well, which of these predictions do you think is the most accurate? Most pizza-loving humans would go out of their way for the perfect slice of pizza, and Steph Curry is no exception. On the 6th day of November, 2024, the American basketball star made an unexpected stop at a popular pizza parlor in Beverly Hills. Little did he know that his need for a sizzling slice of pizza that day would lead him to an unexpected experience. Just as he was about to place his order, he stopped cold at the sound of two boys whispering behind him. How this whisper later changed their lives would bring tears to your eyes. The whisper that brought help. Although he was used to his packed schedule, he felt this sudden need for a quick escape. So, on this regular Tuesday afternoon, Steph Curry decided to take a break from his busy day. Training, press conferences, and the endless meetings had made the day feel long and heavy, but this craving for his regular sweet slice of pizza got a bigger hold of him. Curry, as typical of him, loves his strong, classic American slice of pizza, the kind that took him back to his simpler family days in California. It was a small comfort, a connection to his childhood years. Meanwhile, this sweet craving for pizza would later birth another sweet story of love and kindness.
NBA star Stephen, along with his family, made the holidays a little brighter for 1,000 families.
Without thinking twice, Curry threw on his jacket and grabbed his keys, heading to a cozy pizza parlor tucked away in a quiet corner of Beverly Hills. The idea of Steph Curry, an award-winning basketball player and global humanitarian, slipping into a small shop on a whim felt oddly refreshing. No cameras, no entourage, just Curry, in search of a simple pizza. He parked his car and stepped out, dressed casually in a well-worn leather jacket and jeans, looking every bit the relaxed, approachable man he was. As he walked into the pizza parlor, the soft chime of the doorbell announced his arrival. The place was quiet, with only a few people enjoying their drinks. The aroma of freshly ground tomato sauce filled the air. George scanned the menu, though he already knew exactly what he wanted, a medium-sized pack of pizza. The young attendant behind the counter noticed him, and her eyes widened ever so slightly. It wasn't every day that Steph Curry, the face of American basketball, wandered into her shop. She did her best to stay professional, clearing her throat as she greeted him. She then proceeded to ask him what he would love to have. Curry gave her a friendly smile, one that put her instantly at ease. He then asked to be served a medium-sized pack of pizza. She nodded, punching in the order with a bit of a starstruck daze, then handed him his receipt and told him it'd be ready in a moment. As he waited, Curry let his thoughts drift. He had just been nominated for the NBA Most Valuable Player for the 4th time. There were so many pieces to juggle between basketball training schedules, charity work, and family life. But for now, he was content to soak up this rare, quiet moment, surrounded by the hum of the shop baking oven. No one seemed to recognize him, and he relished the anonymity, waiting to eat his pizza without interruption. Yet out of the corner of his eye, he noticed 2 young men at a nearby table, sneaking glances and whispering urgently. Steph Curry wasn't paying much attention at first, assuming it was just typical teenage chatter, but something in their hushed voices caught his ear. One boy, speaking quickly and nervously, said that he and the other boy would have to rob the shop. If they didn't, they would die hungry, and their mother would find nothing to eat till she died on her sickbed. Curry blinked, suddenly more alert. He turned his head slightly, just enough to listen more closely without drawing attention. The other boy, his younger brother, sounded worried as he asked the older one what their fate would be if they got caught, since it's common knowledge that worse things happen to thieves. The word steal hit Curry like a shock. He glanced over at them, trying to get a better look without seeming obvious. They were just kids, maybe 13 or 14, hunched over their table, carrying a weight far too heavy for kids their age. The older one, looking determined but scared, leaned closer and whispered to the younger one that they only needed to steal some food and get just some cash from the register. He assured his brother that no one would know. He claimed they needed it, and he didn't know any other way to get the money. Curry's mind raced as he listened. This wasn't just teenage mischief. There was desperation in the boy's voice, a fear that spoke to a lack of options, and when they mentioned their mom, Curry's heart sank. He could tell these kids were considering something serious, something that could get them into real trouble. He knew that look, that tone, the fear of not knowing where else to turn. These boys were on the verge of making a decision that could change their lives forever, and Curry realized he might be in a position to help. The pizza parlor attendant handed Curry his pizza, but he barely noticed. His focus was entirely on the 2 boys. He overheard the younger boy's voice, trembling, saying to the older one that he wouldn't want to do this. And the younger one wondered what their fate would be if someone got hurt. The older boy took a deep breath and assured him that they would be fast about it. He promised him that no one was going to get hurt. He claimed they desperately needed the food to feed themselves and their mother and cash to pay for the medicine. From this conversation, Curry got hold of 2 words: food and medicine. Those were the keys. Their mother wasn't just sick. She urgently needed the medicine they couldn't afford and also needed food to feed their stomachs. Curry felt a tug in his chest, a deep empathy. He couldn't just walk away, but he also couldn't confront them directly. They would panic, maybe do something reckless. He had to handle this carefully. Curry was a problem solver, both on screen and off, and right now, these boys had a real-life problem that needed a solution before they took a drastic step. He approached the counter and said softly to the attendant. He asked if she could add a couple packs of pizza to his order. He claimed he needed something hearty for a couple of kids, and that this is where the real thing happened. Steph Curry's magnificent kindness. With his packs of pizza in hand, Curry made his way over to the boys' table. They didn't notice him at first, lost in their anxious conversation. But as he got closer, the older boy looked up, his eyes widening in shock as he recognized the man in front of them. Curry smiled gently, trying to appear friendly. Holding up the packs of pizza and his bag, he asked if the boys would mind if he joined them. He said he got a few extra packs of pizza and he'd hate for them to go to waste. He suggested that perhaps the boys would like to help him out. The boys exchanged a nervous glance, clearly starstruck and uncertain, but the tension in their shoulders didn't fade completely. They were still on edge, ready to bolt. Yet the offer of food, and perhaps the shock of Steph Curry standing there, made them hesitate. The older boy agreed, though his voice quivered slightly. Curry settled into the chair across from them, sliding the pizza over. After much silence, he asked to know what brought the two boys to the pizza parlor. He asked this question casually, trying to keep the conversation light and give them a chance to open up if they wanted. They looked at the food, eyes wide with confusion and hunger. Being young and struggling made it hard to think straight, and Curry could see how weary they were. He waited, letting them take a few bites, hoping the warmth of the food would help calm their nerves. Finally, he spoke, his tone casual and gentle. He told them that he couldn't help but overhear a bit of their conversation. He said that the conversation sounded like the boys were dealing with something really tough. The boys froze, mid-bite, their faces paling. The older one quickly went on the defensive, stammering. He argued that they weren't doing or planning to do anything wrong. He said they were just talking, and that was all. Curry nodded, his expression understanding. Curry said he got the drift. He said he knew that the boys were not in trouble. He just wanted to help. He told the boys that he heard them mention their mom and asked if she was sick. The younger boy's eyes filled with tears, though he tried to blink them away. The older boy, protective and wary, swallowed hard and nodded affirmatively. His voice barely steady, he said that they had been super hungry for days, and their mother was also really sick and needed cash to purchase medicine. The boy claimed they had no money. They tried everything to solve their problems, but they failed. Curry's heart clenched. These kids were barely teenagers, yet they were carrying an enormous burden, fighting to feed themselves and keep their mom alive. They seemed desperate, backed into a corner with nowhere to turn. Amidst tears, the older one told Curry that it was never their desire to steal. He continued, voice quivering, and alluded their problems to the lack of options. They did not know what else to do. Curry leaned forward, his gaze steady and compassionate, and told the boys that he knew they were scared. He said he also knew that there was no other way available, but he felt going down the path the boys had chosen won't make things easier. It'll only add to their troubles. The older boy dropped his gaze, blinking hard, and asked what else they could do. He lamented that the medicine is so expensive and the bills keep piling up. They didn't want to lose their mother and were equally hungry. Curry took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. He said he could help. Curry told the boys softly that he has been lucky in life, sure, but he had also seen tough times, and he understood what it's like to feel desperate. He promised to help the boys and their mom and believed there was a better way through it. The boys looked at him, disbelief and hope mingling in their eyes. Why would Steph Curry of all people want to help them? Curry saw the doubt on their faces and reassured the boys that he would cover the medical costs to make sure their mom gets the care she needed. For a moment, silence hung between them as the boys stared, hope dawning in their tired eyes. Slowly, the older boy's shoulders relaxed, as if a heavy weight had just been lifted. The younger boy's lip trembled, and for the first time since Curry had approached them, he let out a shaky breath. He then whispered, "Thank you," to their new benefactor, with tears spilling over. Curry reached across the table, giving the boy's shoulder a gentle squeeze. He looked at them and told them that they were going to be okay. They would get through this together. In that moment, Curry knew that this was where he was supposed to be, not on a basketball pitch or in a meeting, but right here, helping these kids in their moment of need. And this is not even the first time Curry has done something so kind. After watching the reel, they bombarded Aditya with questions in the comments session, inquiring about what the Indian had done to gain Tom's attention. They were also very eager to know how Aditya had gotten Tom Cruise to spend as much time as he had spent with them in the video. To satisfy their curiosity, Aditya gave a brief explanation of how it all happened. According to the Indian, they had unexpectedly encountered the Hollywood megastar at a London heliport while taking a stroll around the area. As Tom got down from his helicopter, it became clear to Aditya and his friends that the familiar man being ushered to a black luxury car was indeed the famous actor, Tom Cruise. Almost immediately, they made a decision that completely changed their lives. Without any hesitation, they rushed towards the actor, pleading for a chance to get a picture of him. Tom gave them one good look and decided to give them more than what they had asked for. With a wide grin plastered on his face, the star posed with the fans patiently, exuding his trademark charm as he took pictures with them one by one. To Tom, it was just a nice gesture, but to the Indian fans, he was unknowingly making their dreams a reality. In the video, the fans can be heard conversing in Hindi as they ask each other to hurry up while clicking pictures with Tom. As Tom finally bids them farewell and drives away in his black luxury car, one fan seizes the opportunity to ask him a burning question about his renowned spy franchise, Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 hits theaters today and in a special preview screening at Atlantic Station.
With curiosity brimming, they inquire whether the helicopter he arrived in is the same one featured in the Mission Impossible series. Tom Cruise, with his characteristic warmth, responds, "Different one," before bidding adieu to his enthusiastic fans. The encounter has left many Instagram users buzzing with excitement, with comments flooding in expressing awe and admiration for the fortunate fans. One user gushed about how lucky Aditya and his friends were to have met his favorite star, while another lamented that she has been waiting for years to meet him, but to no avail. All in all, the commenters were all thrilled to see their favorite star being so friendly with fans and couldn't wait for when it would be their turn. Actors and famous people alike have been rumored to always keep their fans at arm's length regardless of the situation. Some fans have been lucky enough to get an autograph or have the star walk into their picture frame at just the right time. But not many have had the kind of experience Aditya and his friends had when they met Tom Cruise in London. The actor's affection towards them has not only earned him more followers and admirers, but his fans have started to see him in a different light. Not as someone they didn't stand a chance with or someone inaccessible like other celebrities, but as someone they look forward to meeting either accidentally like Aditya or intentionally. But it seems like Aditya and his pals haven't been the only ones to have such a nice encounter with the famous Tom Cruise. Here's where things start to get interesting. In the glittering world of Hollywood, there are few stars as adored and sought after as the charismatic Tom Cruise. With a global fan base spanning continents, admirers often go to great lengths to glimpse their favorite celebrities. From globe-trotting to enduring long hours of waiting, these enthusiasts spare no effort to meet their idols in person.
Genuine fans, it would seem, cheering, screaming, waiting for hours just for a glimpse of Hollywood superstar Tom Cruise.
Getting a glimpse of these stars, or hopefully a picture, was a good enough reward for the lengthy hours of wait. However, at the highly anticipated premiere of Mission Impossible 7, one passionate woman had an unforgettable encounter with her lifelong crush, Tom Cruise. The star-studded event became the backdrop for a heartwarming moment that mesmerized both Cruise and the fans. The woman, at Grace_TRX, an Instagram user, took to Instagram to share a video of her speaking to Tom Cruise and expressing her admiration for him. In the video, she can be seen standing on the opposite side of the barricade at the red carpet of the premiere, waiting for her turn to meet the actor. When she finally got a chance to interact with the actor, she first of all gave him her heartfelt wishes on his birthday. Leave your opinions in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.